Yeah, but I think that it might not achieve absolutely 100%, but in general, I think that it will achieve because everyone, eager to go through this direction. I think this is a very good that every country in the world try to achieve the goal of the EFA, but it's impossible that everyone to have a chance to like in some goal like the universal primary education. It might be a little bit difficult because you might have in many countries might have their own problems about maybe they're living far away, maybe they have some other problems. For example, Thailand, I think that we've been working about this for a long time, but we still have like about 5% of the children still not in the school. Even the government try, to encourage them, give the scholarship, give the free education for all, but still, they have some, they have to move with their parents to work in the forest or something like that, or in the field, and maybe they are not. Some disabled children, the parents don't want their children to to go to the school, something like that. Yeah, everyone have to understand. I think that the communication is very important. How can that we communicate to everyone to understand how important EFA is, and I don't think that everyone need to follow, but if they understand, and they could follow the way that UNESCO planned everyone to do it to the same direction.
It's a very big question because EFA is covering the whole breadth of education from early childhood development through to adult learning and lifelong learning. So it's a very big demands in terms of the goals. And there's some that actually move quite slowly. So in terms of literacy, literacy is a long-term effort to ensure that populations are literate. But there's other goals, for example, about universalizing primary education, which are moving much faster. And we see significant progress, especially since 2000, in terms of improving participation in primary education. But again, this creates new issues around participation in secondary education, about the extension of compulsory education, and this whole idea of basic education as something that's needed for a minimum of to ensure a minimum of learning skills to participate in society, to earn a living, and to succeed. Well, I think a big part of it is really about they talk about political will or government commitment, and we heard today in the presentations about the importance of communities in achieving the goals, and really that's really where the battleground lies. It's in individual communities, it's in individual families, it's in individual schools.
In my opinion, the EFA goals are very important for the world. But to achieve the goals of EFA, it takes cooperation from every country. It's very difficult to achieve the goals, but I think more and more countries realize the importance of EFA. So for me, I hope that perhaps in 50 years' time, I may be a little pessimistic in that, because we are facing economic problems, and many countries think of other things before education. So it's very important for UNESCO to make every government understand that without EFA, each country will not be able to sustain the development. I think it takes time, but I'm sure that the goals will be achieved. To two aspects of EFA, the numerical aspect and the quality aspect. I think it's more difficult to achieve the quality aspect because we can have all of the whole population receiving education, but it could be poor education. So I think it's much more difficult to give quality education to everyone. We can see that schools in rural areas struggle a lot to employ good teachers and to provide quality education. So I think that's the next step for UNESCO. That is, once you can achieve the numerical aspect, that means the percentage of people who receive education, I think the UNESCO will have a much more difficult task to promote quality education for all.
However, if we look at the long term, what is needed for them to be achieved is continuous political commitment, continuous funding, and continuous attention given to education by governments, donors, international organizations. And they're all committed. So the question is really when. For the time being, there's no clear response when, but such report like the GMR allow us to have an idea of what kind of efforts needs to be addressed and to whom and by whom in order for them to be achieved. Clearly, funding of education is something that needs to be addressed very urgently in order to improve the achievement of the EFA goal. Then we will see if the funding of education increased tremendously as a response to the financial crisis, then we can, let's say, be more optimistic.
And when we talk about the critical issues in education, I think the most critical issue now it should be about opportunity, educational opportunity. You know, it means that the opportunity to get access to quality education for the poor, especially for the poor or the disadvantaged. I think for this, the government should focus more, you know, on the kind of supporting schemes for the disadvantaged. Like it may become like a financing scheme, scholarships, grants, you know, or a kind of student loan scheme for those with a higher level of education, like higher education students or post-graduate students, you know, who can take loans, you know, and then repayment will come after. I think the most critical issues now that should be dealt with, you know, is about educational quality and opportunity.
So, but the things would be more concerned is about quality, that is still skeptical about the quality, that what will be the quality is qualified enough to build human capitals. For example, we found the numbers from the team's data or from the PISA data that the quality of education especially in Thailand, is declined over the periods, while some other countries like South Korea, many countries have increasing. So this could be the things that we have to think more of. Besides the quantity, but what the quality will be. That's one thing. And the second thing is we talk about quality, we have to talk about how we produce education, to produce the persons to fit into the labor market, to fit into the competitiveness and long-term vision of each countries, which is still quite skeptical in that way as well. That's quite also the linkage between education and labor market. For example, in university, it's quite to be something that quite funny that university is kind of tourist areas and tourist area from what the country wants. For example, the country just at Thailand and many European countries, we need scientists, we need engineering, this kind of knowledge-based people. But in terms of data, 80% of people in university study social science, which is quite not the kind of direction toward the long-term competitiveness in this country. So that can be a things that you should be thinking of as well.